Remember all that outrage, well, from me and you recently about the Federal Bureau of Investigation declaring war on peaceful pro-lifers who are praying, singing worship songs, reading the Bible at abortion clinics. You know, people practicing their faith and trying to save lives, evil monsters like that. Well, I want to remind you of something. I keep telling you this, that we're not in some pendulum swing when it comes to the administrative state. This is a lie we tell ourselves to comfort ourselves. Well, I mean, I bet they're worried now. There are going to be hearings. I bet they saw the headlines and they're worried now. The FBI saw all of your outrage and my outrage. The FBI sees all the poll numbers showing Republicans taking over the House, and they were so scared about the anger of you and the Republicans in Congress that they promptly went out and arrested an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor for also being pro-life. That was her crime, peacefully protesting an abortion clinic. We're not in a pendulum. There is a black hole. Evil doesn't have a bottom. Evil forces. The devil doesn't have a bottom. He doesn't get to the bottom of anything. It just goes down and down and down forever until good stops it. Joining me now, my friend Mike Slater, host of the Politics by Faith podcast, one of my favorite people out there. Mike, am I crazy?
No, that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. Evil has no bottom. I love that. I'm stealing it. I think the part about the story that stands out to me the most is that these two instances that we focus on in the podcast, there's some people in Philadelphia and then Mark Houck, the one individual person. There were no local charges. No, on the local level, the DAs didn't do anything. Police didn't charge anyone. Maybe a minor trespassing misdemeanor, whatever. Nothing. And it was a year later when the feds came in and dropped the hammer on them to make an example of them. That's important. Local level, no big deal, move on, everyone's fine. Federal level, boom, we gotta crush them. That I find unjust. And you know that 156 pro-life centers have been attacked so far, 156 across the country. Nothing from the Department of Justice. But we're gonna crush these pro-life activists, including, as you said, that Holocaust survival. It's crazy because they broke some bogus federal law, the FACE Act. It says you can't interfere with anyone who wants to get an abortion. All right, the FACE Act. So on this last podcast, Jesse, I thought of you a lot because what do we do? What do we do in this civil disobedience? What is a person to do? Because Romans 13 says that you have to obey government authorities. That's what it says. You got to obey God. They're put there by God. You got to obey them. Well, hold on. I don't want to. So what do? Well, the Bible also has many stories of people disobeying government authorities and then God still blessing them for it. So we go through a couple examples. So the first one comes to mind is King Nebuchadnezzar. He made a decree that everyone had to worship the golden image of his God. But then you got these three guys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were captives living in Babylon, right? They refused to do it. So they were thrown in the fiery furnace, and they gave one of the great all-time lines of ever. And it's in Daniel 3:17. It says, "Our God will save us, but even if he doesn't, we're still not going to worship your gods. We're still going to do the right thing." And they threw him in the furnace, and God saved him. And God didn't come back and say, "Well, you didn't obey the government authorities now." Another one, King Darius, he passed a law that says you can only worship him. And then Daniel, after seeing the new law, he went back to his house and he opened up the windows to Jerusalem and he prayed to God. And the best line, as he had done previously. So the change in law didn't change his behavior. And then Darius threw him in the lion's den and God saved him. And God never came back and said, "Shame on you, Daniel, for disobeying government authority. You weren't supposed to do that." And my favorite example, because it's the least talked about, Exodus 1, 13th century BC. Pharaoh told all the Hebrew midwives that you have to kill all the Hebrew boys. I don't want any more boys born here, right? And there's two women. By the way, the Bible doesn't say this, but I'm assuming this is the case. All of the other Hebrew wives obeyed and killed the boys, but these two didn't. Shiphrah and Puah, they did not. And the Bible says God was good to them. And it says they're good to them because they feared God. And that's the point of that episode, Jesse, is who do you fear more? Do you fear God more or do you fear man more? And whose laws will you obey? Man's laws or God's laws? And I'll tell you, those people who were arrested don't care at all. They don't care at all that they broke man's laws. They were following God's law. And that's the most important thing.
I wish I'd talked to both of our mutual wonderful producer, Matt Mayer, beforehand to ask him about this. I didn't know you were going to bring this up. I should have asked him for the mug shots. In fact, Matt may even throw this thing afterwards. Who knows? The mug shots of these people has absolutely murdered me. It has blessed me beyond end. In case people are wondering, I will find these for you. I'll put them on my social media. These people, you ever see someone's mug shot, DUI, whatever the case may be, it's always like this, and they look horrible. The mug shots, almost to a man, almost to a woman on these people, they're all smiling. Look, yes, Matt did it. Of course, miracle word. Look at that person. They're all like that. They're all just, they seem content. Mike, how could they be content? You just had handcuffs put on you. You're going to jail. How's that possible?
Yeah, content's one thing. It's more than that. It's joy. Consider it a joy when you experience trials of many kinds. This is real persecution. And when you're following God's laws, it is a joy when you're persecuted for his sake. That's where we need to get, and that's where what we need to prepare for. And I love Jesse, because you're getting us ready, man. Like, you're getting us emotionally ready and spiritually ready for what's to come. And I want people when the persecution hits, you must take it with joy. That's the most, if I could add one thing to what you're preparing us for, is to not only take it and fight back, do the appropriate thing, right? But do it with joy. That is so important, just like those people. Be inspired by them.